So I couldn't understand that. And the director and I, Mr. Thompson, last had communications on October 10th about this, when he wrote 2 or 3 things. I have the emails. We don't do tours. We're in no position to hand off tours. So I very politely and professionally said, I'd like to reconcile that with my understanding of the statements I have. So I asked for his contact. Now this is the first, just so I could look at some documentation. You know, this is the first I've had to get this, as this has now boiled around 2 weeks since that. And I guess today now I will have a federal contact to pursue that information. And then he says there is no documentation about bus tours because we don't do bus tours. So we're in agreement with that, right? Yeah. So that whole thing, when you, common knowledge or perception knowledge is that the department does bus tours, creates a greater set of mysteries. And then the other thing I would ask is, maybe I could, is it okay to ask Erica a couple questions?
Sure.
Yeah, Erica, so I heard Joyce told me the first night, and I immediately stopped her because I wanted to let her know she's talking to me as a new media citizen journalism site about how it happened, and I think we're largely in agreement how it was stated. I said, this bothers me that county government would be handing off to the Friends of Charter, a group to do bus tours. Now, we can argue about that very precise mechanism. Maybe if the director will give me a copy of the statement, I can look at that, but it makes sense. None of the early statements were seen as illogical. There's no question about money, because there was no money that moved in this as far as I know. Never was a question. No question about the quality of volunteers. Not a question, but when I called the department to find out, I was told there were 2 bus tours. One was being handled by staff, and they couldn't accommodate the other, and therefore Joyce and or Friends was selected to do the other. Do I recall that properly?
No. There were 2 bus tours, but what I was referring to on 2 bus tours is we wanted to have a Cecil County tour in some way, shape, or form that we could find someone to assist. And Harford County was conducting a tour as well. There were 2 bus tours in the region.
Yeah. Okay. Because when I would post this, and lots of officials knew about this, I would offer the opportunity to correct any misstatements, and these are now the first clarifications I'm hearing about that. And then when I would ask both the director and Erica about, well, why was Friends and or Joyce, because that's going to be a really small slice of who got that tour, because it had to be obvious that it was going to be a group seeking to fund a campaign real fast. If you didn't recognize that in the first 5 seconds, you would see that. What I was told was Joyce could showcase that the director said he'd only given it a 30-second decision. So that then generated the second set of questions. How do I reconcile the fact that the county says it's never done in 2 emails bus tours? And how do I reconcile the fact that this one was going to become a fundraiser?
That's not our issue.
Okay. Were the other 2 tours with the chamber, were they fundraisers or were they revenue neutral?
I have no idea.
No
I
idea.
never asked the chamber for an accounting because I wasn't personally involved. And
okay.
Wasn't there.
When I talked to your contact that you, may I have a copy of your statement?
Sure.
Yeah. That would have been helpful if I could have, if I had that early on.
Well, I was in the process of preparing the report for you when Delegate Schmiegel's letter arrived, and at that point in time, Brian Lockhart came to me and asked me to please develop a report. So this essentially is the report that you had asked for. Unfortunately, it just was kind of a bit of a delay in getting it.
If I'd have had the federal contact, that would have been just so helpful, rather than, because we're now 2 weeks away from the election, and we've managed to drag it out for 4 weeks, and we might have been able to put the thing to bed. So the comment to my question about why did the chamber make a profit stream, the answer was you don't know. Okay. All right, I think I have the information I need at this point. I would urge you, when people ask questions, just answer them. It's much better. It is much better, because in this new era of new media, it makes it much worse for everybody not to quickly respond.
I think we quickly responded.
On Sunday, October 10th, you were responding to me. You quickly responded. You're very good with that. And then when I asked the deeper questions, that was it. There were no responses after that. And that was October 10th. There really were 3 questions. Let me understand how BRAC or Friends were selected to do the BRAC tour. So you made a statement now. Finally made a statement. let me understand, were all of the other tours revenue neutral, or you don't, you've made that statement, and why was this one a significant profit stream? I think that is now, you're saying you don't have any involvement, so very simple questions.